a really fun, not fun topic, I guess. So what we're talking about is building resilience in the face of rejection. So rejection is one of those things that rejection is one of those things that we're all going to face in our life. And so I want to just take some time that as you're going through the season, as you're going through either the job search process, as you're going through anything that involves your transition from ships to shore, understanding how we react to rejection, understanding what are the tools that we can have in our toolbox to react in the best and the healthiest way is so, so important. I was listening to a great podcast this morning that was talking about, just that skill and that muscle about growing our ability to not get offended. That in life, there's going to be things that happen, whether it's rejections, whether it's things that people say. And the most powerful thing that we can do is really be objective observers of the things that happen to us. Take them in, understand why it offends us or why it hurts our feelings. And as you're going through the job search process, this is going to be part of it. And you guys know all those people in your life that they're actively looking for reasons to be offended. And it might be that person at the store that you frequent. It might be your neighbor. It might be someone in your family, or it might be you. But being really, really observant and conscious of the times and the moments when we get offended, and how it only actually hurts us. It doesn't hurt the other person. And just being able to, and I thought that was a perfect listen for me this morning, because it really layered onto this idea of rejection, because being rejected and making a choice on being offended related to that rejection is really all in our court. And he was also talking about seeing our reflection in the lake. It's when we look into the lake, into a body of water, we get a choice, is that we can look back and just see our reflection, or we can see all the other beautiful things that are in the lake. You can see the trees, you can see the leaves falling on it, you can see the ripples. But a lot of times we get hyper focused, and especially in moments of vulnerability, which we'll talk about today, is that when we start getting hyper focused on our own reflection is when we kind of get into this dangerous territory. And things that are normal occurrences in life that are going to happen, ups and downs, have a much larger impact on us. So I'm excited to dig into this. Christian, do you have anything else as we get started, or anything that you wanted to?
No, just it goes along very hand in hand with something that I found to be extremely strong that I run into lately. And it's the fact that our mind is a muscle, right? And resilience comes from the thoughts that we have and from the actions that we take. And at the end of the day, it's like the mindset that we live with every day. So I think it's important you will see, and I have noticed that there's a lot of insight lately, and I don't want to say inspiration, but there's a lot of information about how to fill your mind and how to control your mind. So it's just based on that principle of controlling your mind and exercising your mind the same way that we exercise our bodies. And that's where resilience stems out from. So I think this is going to be very valuable.
Yeah, that's our thoughts become our reality. We're creating our reality with what we think, with what we say, with what we put out there. So yeah. Okay, let's get started. Let's dig into it. So that I always give you my recommended books. I'm a big reader, but I wasn't always a reader. Reading is actually really, really hard for me. I'm not a great reader. I was telling someone close to me that when I was in college, I went to a very difficult university here in the States, and it was difficult because I wasn't a great reader. So I would have to read a page 3 times for it to actually soak in. So for me, I read physical books. I usually always have an audiobook, and then I usually always have a podcast that I'm kind of going through. I try to listen to a podcast a day. I use YouTube versus using like a podcast app, because the thing that I like about YouTube is it auto prompts the next one that kind of follows in the same trail. So I've discovered some really cool people. But from the book side, I want to talk you through these 5 books. If you haven't read them, please check them out. Again, don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick one. And even if you don't finish it, it's not a big deal. And then there's also a lot of these like cheat programs that are out there. There's a new one that one of my friends is following where it's a 15-minute summary of books. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I'll see if I can find it and send it to you guys. But the one book that I absolutely love, the author is Brene Brown. If you haven't read any of her work, please, please, please do it immediately. She has something on Netflix. She has a quick like lecture. I think it's 40 minutes. So even if you don't have time to read, take a second to listen. So in this book, Rising Strong, Brene, she is a doctorate. She's a doctor who researches shame and vulnerability. So in this book, she talks about the power of vulnerability as it's connected to resilience. And she provides insights and strategies really for bouncing back from failures, setbacks, and rejections. So it's a really powerful book as you're going through any season of transition. And it really helps you to ask better questions about why am I reacting to this situation in this way? This thing my mom said to me, this thing my friend said to me or did to me. And it helps us to understand our brain and how we're patterned to do it. And then also helps us to kind of observe our behavior. So the next one's Unshakable. You know, I'm a big Tony Robbins gal. He gets a bad rap, but really for us, all the classes, all the books, all the stuff we've read or engaged in, he's phenomenal. So this one is called Your Financial Freedom Playbook. And I know we talked about finances last week, but this book primarily focuses on financial resilience. And I think that there's a lot of things that you can layer on. I mean, look at the stock market, look at anything. If you're coming from a ship salary, going to a land salary and having an adjustment with that, he really delves into your mindset and your emotional resilience to be able to overcome challenges, including rejection and really success. And this is one of the things that he's helped me personally and my husband personally is really when you look at, you know, there's all this talk about there's a recession coming, it's going to be like 2008, it's going to be like 2020. He really helps, and this book is a great example of it, of how we build a mindset. So when recessions happen, when bad moments pass in our lives, and he talks about this concept of seasons, when the winter comes, and everybody's hiding money under their mattress or they're scared and it pulls their money out of the stock market because they're freaking out, how you have such an unshakable spirit that you are able to build your greatest wealth. And Warren Buffett talks about this, Ray Dalio talks about this, because you are the one that's unshakable, because you're the one that's not afraid, because you know that it's coming. And so you have the tools in your toolbox to be prepared and know what to do in these situations. So this is a really good financial one. Mel Robbins, she has great videos online. So this is the 5-second rule: transform your life, work, and confidence with everyday courage. So she talks about really practical strategies to overcome self-doubt, build confidence, take action, and which really truly are essential components for bouncing back from rejection. So she talks about, and Christian touched on this a little bit earlier, our mind was built to protect us, right? So it's going, oh, there's danger there, there's fire there, there's something bad there. So we're in this hyper state of vigilance. And Mel, the 5-second rule that she talks about is that anytime you don't want to get out of bed, anytime that there's something that your mind is starting getting into that worry phase or that overprotection, then you're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump in the water, do it, get out of bed, do that thing. So she has a really cool philosophy around that hopefully you guys will learn something out of. Next one is failing forward, turning mistakes into stepping stones for success. So John Maxwell is like an old classic writer. He has the tips for leadership success. He has so many great and valuable like The Laws of Invaluable Growth, like great, great, great book. So I probably read like some of his books on repeat once a year. But this book talks about the importance of embracing failure, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone for growth and personal and professional success. So the more that we're able to objectively look at failure and see them and what society perceives as failure, right, is see those things as kind of notches in our life to make us stronger, make us grow, build resilience, and have appreciation for them, then the stronger that we get. And then the next one, option B. So this one is Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant, who are both great authors, that they're talking about in this one, facing adversity, building resilience, and finding joy. So although the book isn't solely focused on rejection, the book really explores how individuals can build resilience and find strength in the face of adversity. So it has really good insights on history, on examples. There's another book that I have that's called Abundance. And someone recommended me this book, but option B is kind of on the same string of that, is that it talks about that, hey, rejection is a part of every single person's journey. It's, from looking at, the creator of Spanx, who she talks about getting the door slammed in her face over and over and over again. There's another lady from It Cosmetics who she talks about. She was in the boardroom of, she was with a venture. She tells a great story about being at the boardroom of Ulta Cosmetics and or Sephora, I can't remember which one, and that they were saying like that if her product was that great, that they would have heard of it, so it can't be that great. Then there was another moment with a venture capitalist. She was an owner, and she's kind of a bigger gal who had skin issues, and so that's why she invented this cosmetics. But this venture capitalist who's going to invest, the reason why he said he wouldn't invest with her, she said, hey, please, he said no. She said, please tell me why. And he said, because of how you look, because of your weight. I don't ever think that anybody would buy anything from you looking like you do. So she talks about these really key moments. And this is option B, like listening to other stories of individuals who have had these really impactful, vulnerable moments that somebody said something really mean to them or something it was a perceived failure for them, not getting the investor, not getting the deal. That how you can choose to cry in the corner because of that and feel bad for yourself and be the victim of it, or you can choose to use that as rocket fuel to take those person's words and make it something that transforms you into that person that you know you're meant to be. Barbara Cochran, who she's on the Shark Tank. She's a blonde older lady, and she always talks about when her ex-husband, I think it was her first or second husband, that when she found out that he had been cheating on her with his secretary and broke up their marriage basically. And she said, all right, I'm out of here. She was a real estate agent under his firm. And he said to her, you will not become anything without me. And those painful words to her, how that became like her tattoo, her mantra, her thing, to be able to say, oh, watch me do what I'm meant to do. And so she tells that story over, and while it was this huge moment of rejection and failure and disappointment in her personal life and her professional life, she lost her job, she lost her marriage. She took his words and used that to really fuel her future. So take a look at these books. Just pick one of them and just say, hey, I'm going to listen to the summary of it. I'm going to somehow read the whole thing, and start feeding your mind, to Christian's point, with content that builds you up and that provides you the rocket fuel to become the best version of yourself that you're intended to be. So start with those resources. So, sorry, somebody's pinging me. Let me just make sure it's nothing urgent. No, okay, we're all good. So this is the power of the journey of vulnerability. So I am challenging you guys in this to connect failure and resilience to vulnerability. Vulnerability for us is not a weakness. It's really, truly a strength. And when we are able to connect to a moment that can be perceived failure, perceived rejection, and go, oh, that hurt. Oh, that makes me feel like a failure. Oh, that makes me feel, is this true? That allows us to face rejection, this vulnerability, with authenticity and with courage. So when we tell a story of, when, let me think of a good story in my life. So there was a time after I had children, that I think I had 5 departments under my organization. And my boss called me in and said, hey, we're taking away 2 of those departments. One of the departments was one that I really, really loved. And the reason that they was they didn't think that I could do it being a mom. Which A, that's fully illegal in the United States, but B, it was this moment where I was this strong woman that I thought I could do everything. And I felt defeated. I felt judged. I felt it was unfair. But really, truly, when I faced that rejection with authenticity and with courage and going, hey, is this true? The story that I'm telling myself about this rejection, what I perceived as rejection or failure, losing these 2 departments, which somebody says, like, looking at it in retrospect, somebody says to you, hey, Barbara, you have 5 departments. We're going to take 2 away, which essentially means less work, but we're going to pay you the same amount of money. Like, why was I upset? My ego was bruised. My ego was damaged. I felt, pain related to it. But really, truly, that rejection, me being able to say, hey, I'm going to figure out why this is hurting me. I'm going to figure out why, it's having an impact on me. And me being able to tell that story lets me show up with authenticity and courage. So as you embrace your vulnerability, as you acknowledge, hey, this thing happened to me, I got rejected for this job, or I'm, feeling alone, I'm feeling like my skills aren't being seen or valued, this opens the door to deeper connections with people, to personal growth. And what Brene Brown talks about is that the more vulnerable that we are, the more real we are in saying our real emotions, be it in social media, so that you're posting on your LinkedIn, something that happened in a job interview process, you're talking to friends about what really happened and you're not sugarcoating things. That's when people step up and start building connections with you. That's when you actually have personal growth. And when you say, hey, I'm telling myself this. And one of the lines that Brene uses, which is really powerful, is being able to say, when you have this moment of rejection and you're feeling naked and vulnerable, is saying, hey, I got rejected for this job. However, and I am telling myself a story and saying it to your best friend, to your mom, to someone. I'm telling myself a story that I'm not smart, that I wasn't qualified, that there's somebody better than me, and is that story actually true? So being able to disconnect from the emotion that you're sitting in and being able to say, hey, is this true? This thing that I'm telling myself about this experience that happened to me. Because when we allow ourselves this space to be vulnerable, we're able to create space for resilience, and we're able to flourish in the face of rejection. So as you really think about it, is when we're able to ask those questions and say, hey, this story that I'm saying about my future, about my life, about this situation that happened to me, is this truly a reflection of me? And being able to go through that exercise is incredibly, incredibly important. And Brene really teaches is that whenever rejection or moments of vulnerability and pain happen to us, this really is a gift. It's a gift that we get to be taught resilience. So the more that we're able to embrace these moments, then we're able to positively impact ourselves and those that are observing us going through it. So when you experience rejection, when you experience failure, when people are able to watch the journey that you're authentically walking through and you're talking about it in a way of, hey, like this is, and recently we closed one of our companies, and Christian and I went through this closure together. And one of the things, really truly, I had done enough work that I did not feel like the closure of the company was a failure on my part. I knew that it was supposed to happen because there was a lot of things that we were misaligned with values with this company. And however, I I one day I just broke down crying. I couldn't stop crying. I was so sad over the employees that we had to lay off. And I had kind of like been this pillar of strength and walking through it. And so I was really intentional that I sent the team a video. Wilhelmina was with us too. Um, I sent the team a video of me crying and or voicemail. I don't or a picture. I don't remember what it was, Christian. But I sent them because I was like, I want you guys to know that this is painful. Like this is really hard and this is painful. And I want you to see me walking through this because I'm giving permission to you that you don't have to be strong. You don't have to, the things that we're walking through are hard. And so I think that as you look at your failure, your rejection, your vulnerability, these are incredible gifts that you're able to give to other people when you're showing up and you're acknowledging your emotion and you're acknowledging what you're walking through and just being incredibly grateful for the transformative power that resilience has. It's not sugarcoating stuff. It's not covering it up. It's just saying, hey, today I know that this closure of this company is not a reflection. I'm not a failure as a person, but I know that I'm feeling emotion and sadness connected to it. So I'm going to share it with the people that are closest with me because then that allows them permission to do the same. And then, for me, and I don't, Christian, if you have anything to add about that experience or what we walked through together, feel free to, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But I just think that it's being able to see your resilience, your failure, your vulnerability as superpowers. Anything?
I would just add the what happened, the effect that it had in the whole crew after you sent that out. It really,
Yeah.
Because one thing is communicating it, and another thing is the way part of the communication is how the message is received. And I think it was extremely well received, and it put you at the human level with them as well.
Yeah, and I think you guys, as you're in leadership roles, and I don't even think it has to be leadership roles. It's just even humanity is like being able to show the people around you. And if you guys look on LinkedIn, the posts that get the most engagement, the posts that get the most connection, it's when people are real. It's when people are saying their actual emotion. I just read a post that it went viral. It was some random guy from Arizona that it really touched me because this guy was telling the story about how he got a job in another state. He closed up his apartment. He packed up his bag. He packed up his dog. They were driving from Arizona to, it was Utah, which is far away in the US, if you guys don't know the map. It's a long way to be moving. So he drove up, he was so excited about this new job, and got into his new apartment. On his first day in the new job, they let him go. They didn't fire him. They just said, hey, so sorry, we don't have a job for you anymore. We're cutting positions of this department that he was in. And he wrote this story, and you could step into the pain that he was experiencing because you can connect to what that would feel like to do that, to have those hopes and aspirations. And that is what takes massive courage for him to have posted that. But humanity steps up and wants to help him and wants to say, and some of you, after I think two of our webinars ago, I think it was Anna, like went in immediately and posted about the opportunities that they were looking for, about updated their profile. Those things that we shy away from social media, we shy away from authenticity because that makes us vulnerable. We're like, what are people gonna say if they know that I got fired from the job on the first day? And really, truly, people embrace when you say what's really happening, what you're really feeling, because they don't want to see the sugar-coated story. And it's actually saying this out loud. It's something that like is convicting me that I'm like, I got to do a little bit more authenticity in some of the stuff that I'm posting. Because I really think that people want to hear what's real and what they can connect to. So cultivating courage as you're on your journey. So showing up in your real, true, authentic self, be it in failure, be it in resilience, be it in success, showing up as your real self takes courage, massive courage. So Brene in her books and some of her talk, and she has a bunch of different great books out there. Rising Strong is just one to start with. But her teachings on courage are really inspirational to push us to step out of our comfort zone and to take risks. I really believe that people don't even, like right now, I'm seeing and talking to people in coaching that I do, in one-on-one conversations that I'm having, in group conversations, people don't even allow, and I'm going to even be so bold to say you are not allowing yourself to dream. Why? People are not allowing themselves to dream. You are not allowing yourself to dream because you're going, if I put that dream out there, and if I don't achieve it, if I fail, if I don't get to it, then I am a failure. And that's just wrong. So we're limiting ourselves by not even permitting our brain to get into that space of dreaming, of going, what's that perfect job? What's that perfect salary? What does my apartment or my house look like? What does my family look like? You know, I was challenging somebody the other day that they were saying something, and their funny phrase that they always say is like, si Dios quiere, if God wants it, if God wants it, if God wants it. And I challenged her and I was like, sorry, like I'm a person of faith, but at some point you have to put a stake in the ground and say, no, this desire's on my heart and I want to do this thing. I want to become this thing. I want to do it, and do it and reach towards that goal, reach towards that dream. And that takes courage. And when you do that and you say something so boldly and so strongly, be it publicly, be it to other people, and you're focusing all your energy and all your thoughts on whatever that dream is, that you're really truly facing your fears. Because what if you don't get it? What if you don't get that dream job? What if you don't get that dream house? Who cares? What's important is how you're going to react to the journey that you're going on to get there and what you're going to learn on the journey. So by embracing this discomfort and facing your fears, you are able to develop the courage that you need to bounce back from rejection. You're able to get the tools in your toolbox. And every time you get rejection, and every time you experience failure, and every time you dream and you don't achieve that, that is making you stronger and stronger and stronger. And so by building this resilience, it really requires you to cultivate courage, to keep going, and to keep going despite anything that's pushing you back. So this embracing of your setbacks is an exercise in strength. So this is when you are, picking up that weight that's a little bit tougher to pick up. And then all of a sudden after 10 days, you're like, oh, it feels light. And so you move on to the next weight. If you don't ever pick up that 10-pound weight, you're sticking with the 5-pound weight. You're never going to know what you're capable of. And so the difference is, if you're picking up a weight versus putting a dream job out there, or a dream career, or a dream company out there, is that if you can't lift the weight, then nobody really sees it. It's not this big thing. But when you're putting your dreams out there, then people see it and you start worrying about people's perception. But you would be very, very mistaken if you don't think that people are watching and people are getting inspired by the fact that you're being brave enough to state your dreams. So really, as you start accepting who you truly are and who you truly want to be, doing that dreaming, and this is including your flaws, your failures, this is what brings you the strength for resilience, and this is what lets you bounce back. So for me, I practice self-compassion. That moment that I was saying that I was crying for my team. You have to let go of perfectionism. You cannot have authenticity. You cannot have courage. You cannot have resilience if you expect yourself to be perfect. It's just not reality. And actually, you're probably not that pleasant of a person, because then you're putting expectations on other people to achieve that same perfection, which is just not reality. You're putting that expectation of perfection on your children, on your friends, on your spouse. And being able to be kind to yourself, let yourself experience failure, rejection, and know that you don't have to be perfect in every single situation. This is incredibly powerful for embracing who you truly are. And nobody wants to be friends with a person that's perfect. Sorry. They want to be friends and connect to people who are real, who admit when they make a mistake. And also think from like a boss perspective. Anytime you had a team member that was this perfectionist, you love that person because they are such a high achieving, driven person. But also the side of them that, and I did this for many, many years, the side of them that is not so attractive is the side that won't admit when they're wrong. Because they have this expectation for perfection for themselves. And I would find with perfectionist people, you either would be super stubborn and you won't admit when you're wrong, or you would fall on the sword because you hold yourself to such a high standard that anytime you make a mistake, you're a failure. So look at those, and I'm just planting seeds for you to say, start digging into this resilience and going, what is realistic for me and what is a real true version of me look like? Because that's going to help change and adapt what your reactions are. So building your courage is critically important. So the next one is the importance of understanding your worth. And really, really, truly, the importance of understanding your worth is connected to shame that we talked about before. Is when a failure, when a rejection happens to me, is this a reflection of who I am as a person? If outside forces, if you lose your job, if somebody says something mean to you, if somebody doesn't invite you to the party, when that impacts how you perceive yourself, then that's when you get into dangerous territory. So her research on shame really highlights the importance of recognizing and addressing the face of rejection, what it looks like for you and how you react to it. So cultivating your self-worth is really the key to building your resilience and overcoming the impact of rejection and sense of self. So a lot of times, like I see on social media where somebody bashing somebody who didn't give them the right response when they applied for the job, or rejected them, and they don't, and you guys have had this conversation with, I've had this conversation, I think, enough times that I could get blue in the face with people where they're saying, well, it was me and this other candidate, and I deserve the job more than this other person because I have this, this, and this. I'm like, why? Why do you need to do that? That other person got the job for a reason. You didn't get the job for a reason. So you have to, when we feel that we need to build ourselves up by tearing somebody else down, that's when we get into these dangerous territories. That's when we get into the space when the story is about us becoming the victim and not going, all right, I didn't get the job. Hey, that job wasn't meant for me. I know this is a great one. I have this dream job. I thought that was the one. I got really sold into it. That was scary because I was really excited about it, and it hurts that I didn't get it. But I know that I'm worth enough that the right thing is out there for me. And this can be from a business to a job. I know we're specifically in the job alley right now, to getting an apartment, that the apartment went to someone else instead of us. And you guys have heard where somebody is, bad mouthing the person got the house and I didn't get the house. Well, I hope that the ceiling falls down in that house. You hear people say things like that. And you have to go, that's a person covering up their vulnerability. That's a person covering up their pain. And we are not those people. We are the people that go, oh man, I hope that house provides them so many years of dreams. That was a beautiful house. I'm really sad that I didn't get it, but I know that's the right house for them, and I know that there's a better house out there for me. So continuing to shift your mentality so that you understand your worth, because all those comments are subtle seeds of saying that I'm not worth it. So being able to consciously work on fostering a positive self-image, a positive self-compassion, and that goes back to me going, hey, I have sadness over not getting the job. I have sadness over not getting the house. That really sucks. Like, that hurts. But you know what? It makes me stronger, because by exercising this muscle of failure or perceived failure or rejection is something that makes that thing that's coming towards me so much more worth it for me, because my journey was more difficult. And I look at every single, I don't even see failures anymore, like at this point in my life, but I look at every single thing that could be perceived as a failure in my life and going, hey, that's interesting. That's not a reflection of me. That's just a thing that came into my life that wasn't meant to happen. And I learned something from it. Ooh, it hurt when I learned. That hurt. Why? Because I put so much time and energy into it. But I learned something really great coming out of it. And I had a great experience last year where we were buying a business. And man, I was so excited about this business. I was so sold on it. I had put in so many hours and so much work to get this loan, to put all the things in place. And then it all fell apart. It all fell apart. It was almost like I was sitting back and watching it self-destruct. Like, it was these freak of nature things that were happening that were not even explainable. But me being able to know that there's pain in, I worked really hard to try and make that happen. I did everything I could possibly do. But at this point, I kind of have to let go and go, this is not meant to happen. And is that a reflection of me as a person? No, by no means. It was a protection. It was this thing that was put into my path. I wasn't supposed to do that. I wasn't supposed to do that business. I wasn't supposed to do that thing. And one day maybe I'll tell you guys the full story of it. But being able to look at every single house of cards that crumbles in your life and being able to go, oh man, this is painful, but there's reason and purpose behind why it's happening. So this is a good next slide on this. So the gift of resilience, the gift of resilience. So in life, really, truly, Brené's teachings, her research, teach that resilience is a gift. Resilience is a gift that comes from embracing our vulnerability and facing our challenges. And so the more that we're able to see failures, freak accidents, insane things that are unexplainable that happen, or things that we messed up ourselves. You know, say you have a horrible argument with your spouse and that person walks out, this is a gift that moment allows you to embrace your vulnerability and acknowledge the emotion that you're truly feeling related to that failure. And it allows you to use that muscle of resilience. So as you build your resilience, it positively impacts your ability to navigate rejection in the future. It builds that muscle. So the next time you're doing this, you're going to get rejected. You're going to reflect. It's not going to be a reflection of who you are as a person. It's going to be an opportunity for you to improve and change. And you get to bounce back as a stronger and better version of yourself. And the people that don't see rejection or failure as a gift miss the message, because they don't get the learning and they don't get the strength behind it. And so think about every single time that you've experienced rejection, that you've experienced failure, that you've experienced a situation. Our weakest form is when we're blaming outside forces or a person for that thing happening to us. Our strongest form is when we're able to say, that sucks, but you know what? I learned something great, and I'm stronger as a result of it. So for me, I'm so, so grateful for really the transformative powers of resilience, because it allows me to overcome rejection and embrace new opportunities. And you guys hear these cliche things all the time where, you know, CEOs and inventors, and I think there's one from Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, that, you know, everybody talks about the light bulb, but I think he did like 20,000 experiments that were a total failure. And if he had stopped, then, and I'm making up that number, but it's something in that realm, it's, if he had stopped trying and his failures were a reflection of who he was as a person, then we would have never had the light bulb. So I think that being able to acknowledge and listen to those stories and listen to what really truly, and this is this other book I'm telling you about, abundance, when you're sitting in dialogue with people and when you're surrounding yourself by people that they're allowing you to victimize yourself, they're allowing you to blame, they're telling stories of blame, you really have to say, is this making me better? Is this letting me transform? Is this building my muscle of rejection and failure? Or is this sinking me deeper down into the hole? And so I'm very, very conscious of who I spend time with, who I share my failures with. I think you have to be really, really conscious that you're picking up the phone and you're talking to those people who are going to have a mindset that's like mine. Who they're going to have this thing that they're going to encourage you. You're going to go, hey, that's not a reflection of you. Is that true? That's so not true. That guy that didn't call you back, or that girl that didn't call you back or stood you up, or whatever it is, that's their loss. And this is not putting sugarcoating positivity onto anything. This is just going, believing in what the gift of that failure could be, so that you're open to new opportunities. If we sit in that realm of the being the victim to the life that's happening all around us, then we never get anything new. We just spin like in a toilet bowl, right? We just spin, we spin, we spin, and eventually you go down, but you're just spinning around and around and around. But we're the ones that see the greatness that can come out of it. So really, truly making sure that every single experience that happens in your path of failure and rejection is a gift. And the more that you can embrace those things that happen, then it becomes less scary to reach out to people. And I have a great friend who has been helping as we've launched this business. And one of the scariest things for me has been reaching out to these really important executives of these really important brands, to ask them to work for us, to say, hey, I have this idea. I have this thing that's on my heart. I have amazing, talented people that I know we can find jobs for. And because this company means so much to me, and because it's a dream of mine, when I put my dream out there to one of these important people who are very busy, when they don't reply to me, when they tell me no, nobody's told me no yet. When they tell me no, when they do things that could be perceived as rejection, that's when you, as a human, that's when we kind of go into our shell and we go, okay, I'm not going to ask then. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to go on the stage. I'm not going to put the post out there. I'm not going to do that thing, because what if somebody doesn't like it? What if somebody doesn't do it or doesn't engage in it? Like, this is the thing that doesn't actually, this mindset doesn't actually make change. So for me, being able, every time I get out there, every time I send an email, every time I contact somebody, that this is my gift of resilience. I'm like, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying, because this company is not about me. This is about the people that are on the other end. These are the people that got off ships and are on land. And the more that we can take the focus and the attention off of our ego and connect to the purpose of us finding the job, us finding the house. You know, why do you want a house? You want a house because you want to maybe have kids. You want to grow old in it. You want to visualize them running around in the backyard. So that becomes your purpose. And so the rejection is not as painful, because you know the dream, you know the big thing that's going to come out of it. So think about this gift of failure, rejection, and shift your mindset so you really truly see it in this way. Quick little recap for you guys is that really, truly, I built this company as we do staffing. So we provide virtual. It was originally supposed to be only virtual, but we've gotten a few in-person job opportunities. So we are looking at connecting former cruise ship crew with cruise brands. We originally said cruise lines, and now we're cruise brands. So brand would be Starboard, it would be One Spa World, it would be an actual cruise line. We're talking to another partner of cruise line right now. So I started with the vision of what I thought it would be, cruise line virtual, and then it's expanded to a cruise industry and virtual and in person. And so as we grow, yes, our fundamental business is about staffing, putting people into jobs, getting income from what traditionally has been a Miami, Florida headquarter based jobs to global. So that's our fundamental. But the other part is personal development, is that we want to continue to be able to be a resource for former crew to change their mindset, to get the tools in their toolbox, to understand their LinkedIn, to understand building a resume, to understand working in a shoreside corporate position. So there's two parts. So every single individual that we get to place into a job, they're going to work for us, but they're going to have us standing by their side as their champion to make sure that they have success for long-term employment. And I think that's really a differentiating fact for us. And we want to build that as a primary part of our culture, because we are saying to the cruise industry is, hey, you have these incredibly valuable, talented individuals. Do not lose them. And we're also saying to the individuals, hey, you might have a gap in your skill, but we're willing to help bridge that. So by the two of those things happening, that's when lives change. So I want to thank you guys for showing up, for sharing our posts, for engaging in anything that we're putting online, for sharing any job openings. We're at the beginning of this adventure, but I think you guys, as I said before, you just showing up and trying to better whatever your skills are is just demonstrative of who you are as a person, because you're going, hey, I know that I can spend 45 minutes, an hour a week bettering myself. Even if you're at an existing job, even if you're driving your car, we're 1 hour a week. I challenge you guys to make sure that you're doing this on a daily basis. You have 24 hours in your day, you're probably sleeping 8 of them. I think that you can put aside an hour to go on a walk and listen to something. It could be one of our old YouTubes, it could be someone else's. And I've shared a million resources. So listen to these people, listen to Tony, listen to Brene, listen to Mel Robbins, and start building that arsenal of what you guys can have. So are there any questions? Is there any comments, questions, concerns? Christian, anything? Carol, anything you guys want to add?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. No, I think it's really important just to keep reminding ourselves that we are human and not superhuman, and just take baby steps. It's just also just really, really focusing on the company that we are spending time with, and spending time with people that motivate us. There's some people that like to see others fail, and being a business owner for many years, I've seen it. So I think we really need to just focus on positivity, and like you say, Barbara, just being grateful for so much that we have. Yeah.
Proximity is power, people. I've learned this so much. And as you start leveling up as a person, as you start growing in your education and your finances and your job things, that you need to be surrounded by people that you are learning from. Like learn. I go to, happy hours, to meetings, to webinars that make me so uncomfortable, but it helps me because I get to adore these people and learn from them. So put yourself into those situations where you're in rooms of people that are way smarter, have many more years in business and life than you. And then on the other side of it, you're never going to get anything back from those people if you're not giving. So make sure that you are also adding value to the lives of others. When you see that person at that event that's visibly nervous, that's looking around, that's trying to engage with somebody, that you are the first person that's walking up there and saying, hey, my name is Barbara. My name is Barbara. How are you? Tell me about your day. Da, 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 da. And I posted a video on my Instagram the other day that, I went to the doctor, and the lady at the, you put your name on the sheet in the doctor's office and they take your card. Da, da, and I looked at her and I said, hey, how are you? And she like went around it, and she comes back and she goes, what? And I said, how are you? And she's like, oh, she didn't know how to react. And I said, I know, it's weird, right? That a human being would actually care about how another human being is doing. And she was like, I'm good. I'm just a little bit tired today. And for me to be able to shift is a transaction that she does 25 times a day to humanity. This is huge. This can happen in your coffee shop, at your doctor's office. These are the seeds that you are planting in this world of goodness, of engagement, where people feel unseen. I did it in a Dunkin' Donuts, that there was this girl, and she was clearly there for an interview. And she was like waiting, and she was all dressed up and da 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 da, and she was waiting, and she did her interview. I'm watching it. She was so hopeful, and I walked up to her when the manager wasn't around, and I said, "What's your name?" She said, "Oh, my name's Carol." I said, "Carol, you got this. This is your job. Don't doubt yourself. You got this. Just remember that if this job is meant for you, this is yours. And if it's not, that's okay." And she's like, what did that cost me? Nothing. I'm not afraid. Like you get to watch somebody's body, you get to breathe life into them. And so as much as you're going to go to these events where you're going to ask that you get that done to you have to be doing it for somebody else. So look at that full life cycle of where you can contribute, and you'll see change being made in your life. Try it this week. Christian, anything you want to? Oh, Ivy, go ahead.
So yeah, such an inspiring talk as every webinar. So thank you very much for that. Just something I'd like to add, which is something that works really well for me during this journey now of ships. So meditation is essential. Of course, like we know everything that we need to do, but how to do that when your brain is like dum, 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 with so many things happening, and you become anxious, and then that is the rejection, and then that is all your emotions and everything combined. Your head is a mess. So it's important to find clarity, and meditation definitely helps with that. But more than that, it's also important I was reading Simon Sinek the other day, like the purpose of meditation is not to be better for yourself, it's to be better for others. And then that goes with what you're saying, right? You have to become present, but you have to become present to also be there for the others, right? So in a situation like that, for example, when you're interacting with others, you're a good listener. You're not just there talking about how difficult your life has been now that you quit ships and you're looking for a job and blah 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 blah. No, you're actually present. You're there to be a good friend or to be a good husband, or you name it. So I think just as an add-on to all this amazing thoughts you share, I believe that a really good way to find this balance, to learn to, let's say, to separate your emotions from all the rational matters during this time of change, right? It's really to dedicate a time for yourself as soon as you wake up. 5 minutes if you don't have time, 10, 15, 20 minutes if you have time. And if you have a lot of time, do it again before sleep. So you're gonna sleep, more calm. Your mind will have clarity. and then it becomes easier to do everything that you mentioned.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's so great. I love it. I'm a huge meditator, so I can relate. And so I think it's the Dalai Lama says that, or Jay Shetty, I can't remember who it is, that if you don't have 20 minutes to meditate, then you need to be meditating for 2 hours. I think it's Greta. Greta, you raised your hand.
Yes, here.
Hi,
Hi,
thanks
good
for
morning,
joining us.
everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Barbara, for the space to talk about things like that, because it's important to have an space and have tools, right, to manage how I say the stress, difficult times, and well, after pandemic, I start to focus more on myself. I start to study personal trainer, um, and be more focused on my health, right? So that drove me to to know about myself, right? The limits, what's what can I do, right, to feel better, and something you about the worth, right? Um, is the thing is how we talk, right, ourselves to build our worth. That is important. Make that thought, put on words. Uh, do like talk to yourself nice, right? So that when we can manage that, we can have better habits. So that's uh, right towards better life, better quality life. You know, something important also, I think, and I learned in life is how to breathe. Breathe is something really important, and is something we need, like, really know about that. Nobody can, a lot of people can connect with the present, and it's something really, really useful. I just finished, that was a course about emotional heights, how you manage when it's a trauma, so it's a, you have there different tools, how you manage stress on difficult times, something nice, I think, to have tools how manage stress with breathe, um, have a healthy life,
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing, Gretel. Where in the world are you?
Sorry, I don't have a good connection. Could you repeat,
No.
please?
Where do you live?
Oh,
It's okay.
where?
I
Sorry.
Yeah, where do you live? Where are you from?
Yes, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm from Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Oh, okay. My husband's Argentinian.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yes.
Oh, good. Well, I'm so grateful for your guys' contribution. Thank you, Gretel, for sharing that. I think it's so true. If you can't meditate, if you can't, like, the most powerful thing that we can do is control the thoughts that are in our mind, and that's the hardest thing. And that's why people, they say, I can't meditate, I can't be quiet, I can't do that. I'm like, you can, you just got to start. So just start in some way. And the truth is, and we all know this, is that the things that we say to ourselves in our mind, the thoughts that go through our head, we would never let anybody say that to us. So why do we allow it to be said internally? So just being really conscious of what you guys are putting into your mind, and knowing and believing in the greatness that's coming to you is really huge. So I know we're right at time right now, but I'm really, really grateful that you guys all joined us. Remember, we will put this up on YouTube. Um, yeah, guided meditation for beginners, Ivy said, is a great, great start. I agree 100%. And just do it. Just try, just do it. So Make sure that you guys, if you missed any of our videos, go ahead and go online and take a look at our YouTube channel, share them with anybody else who you think that could use them. Please keep coming back, keep listening. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, please feel free to send it in. But grateful for you guys showing up. Okay, have an amazing, amazing week. Take care. Bye.